Welcome. In this video, we are going to discuss the different ways to create relationships between objects within the Envision repository. To begin with, we're going to rename this object, Customer Order Processing, to be called Customer Order Processing New Name. Notice I'm renaming all existing occurrences of the item, not just the ones that I can see on this particular diagram. Now we'll open the Properties sheet or Spec sheet for this object. The Spec sheet for Customer Order Processing gives all the user-defined attributes for this particular object. You'll notice that the name Customer Order Processing has been updated in the hyperlink text. This is one way to create a relationship between objects within Envision through a hyperlink or link to another object within the Spec sheet. One of the benefits of this type of relationship is that when the object is renamed, the name is not only updated on the diagram or visual appearance, but also in all of the textual or hyperlink references as well. Another way to create a link to an object within a spec sheet is through a drop-down list. You'll notice under the Enterprise Alignment tab, we have Key Performance Indicators. These are drop-down lists of existing key performance indicators within the repository. It's referencing the class and allowing users to select from that list of objects. These types of relationships can be reported on through all types of reporting, sending the files to Word, Excel, PDF, or any other application. They can also be viewed and reported on within Envision through the Show Where Used feature. If I right-click on Customer Order, I can select Show Where Used. This gives me a list of all of the diagrams that use Customer Order. By clicking on Show Attributes, Envision will scan the repository looking for all of those links in any object that they appear and display those as well. I can highlight it to see a quick summary or double-click to pull up the actual object itself and see where Customer Order Processing New Name has been used within the spec sheet. Another way to create relationships between objects in the Envision repository, and probably the most common way, is visually on the screen, by simply drawing a connector to connect two objects together. Envision also offers a unique feature we call object-to-object relationships. If I turn on the system layer, you'll notice in this particular methodology, systems appear as green boxes placed on top of other objects. Simply by touching or overlapping, these objects have a relationship, just as if we had drawn a connector between the two of them. Both connectors and object-to-object relationships can be reported on in all standard reporting methods, such as publishing PDF files, Word documents, Excel reports, or publishing to the web. In addition, these relationships can be analyzed within Envision through matrix analysis. By bringing up a connections matrix, I can show relationships between systems, capabilities, actors, whatever objects I choose. In this particular connections matrix, we're looking at relationships between capability to capability, capability to actor, all the different types of relationships on our diagram. You'll notice Customer Order Processing New Name appears, and there's several different connections to the customer object. If I double-click on the itty-bitty diagram picture here, it will actually take me to that diagram, and I can look at the specific relationship from Customer Order Processing New Name to the customer. The matrix analysis feature within Envision can be used by any analyst at any time to evaluate relationships between objects. Let's take a look at a more filtered matrix that just looks at the relationship between systems and capabilities. In this matrix, we're just looking at the relationship between the systems and the capabilities that they're sitting on top of. You'll notice we've also flipped it so that our Customer Order Processing New Name now appears at the top and our systems are on the left. But the type of analysis is similar to that of a connection drawn on the diagram, and double-clicking on the little picture will take us to that particular diagram, just like within the other matrix. Another powerful way for analyzing relationships drawn on a diagram, either through connectors or object-to-object relationships, is through a unique feature within Envision called the spider diagram. We can auto-generate a spider or context diagram from an object simply by right-clicking and selecting Generate Spider Diagram. This spider diagram, or customer context view, is auto-generated by Envision based on all of the diagrams drawn throughout the entire repository. Because this diagram is auto-generated by Envision, you know that it is always accurate, up-to-date, and consistent with what has been modeled everywhere else in your project. The last type of relationship that we're going to show in our demo today, and the most powerful way to create a relationship with Envision, is the subview or parent-child relationship. In Envision, an object can have multiple types of subviews using multiple types of models. For example, underneath our customer order, we have a BPMN view, an information view, KPIs, systems. In fact, let's deselect this button here. We have a lot of choices to choose from. We could add skills and roles, some risk, any type of view or relationship that we want to create underneath this object. For the purpose of today's demo, we're only going to highlight a few of these subviews. For example, a BPMN subview could be a more detailed view of the current object that we're looking at. We can use a standard modeling notation, such as BPMN, or any other notation that we want, or a custom modeling notation. And these views can continue to decompose into more and more detail. Going back up to our original object, you see we also have an information view. The information view puts the capability or process in the center, and all of the information that it creates, uses, modifies on the outside of the object. The unique power of the parent-child relationship or subview attribute in Envision is not just the visual depiction of an item being below another item, but the relationship that's created in the repository that can then be reported on. For example, if I open the information report, by using the parent-child relationship within Envision and our unique report writer template-driven system, we can auto-generate a report that gives us a table of contents, formatting, and lists all the most current information in the repository, pulling it all together. You'll see we've put in a connections matrix, we have pictures of the diagrams, and detailed descriptions of the information and as it relates. These reports are all template-driven, and because of the parent-child relationship, can traverse the entire repository in an organized, meaningful manner. The last type of subview we're going to look at in our demo today is the KPIs. You'll remember earlier in the demo, we saw KPIs and systems related in different ways. KPIs were linked through the spec sheet, and systems were green boxes on the screen. The reason we might want to use a subview instead of these other methods of relating objects is because the subview gives us more powerful reporting options. Also, the user interface might be a little bit easier for some of our users. For example, if a user just needed to enter KPIs and didn't need to see all the properties of the spec sheet, they could easily do so through the KPI SubView. By simply double-clicking, we go to what we call the subcomponent list. Rather than a visual representation of the KPIs, they're simply listed here, and users can easily add them by selecting and hitting Insert Item. The KPIs and subviews underneath Customer Order Processing can be reported on similar to that of the information, BPMN models, or any other subview. We can create Word documents, PDF files, publish to the web, or send the information to other applications to do further analysis. But there is another unique feature of our subview attribute within Envision. From the Project Explorer panel, I can open up different types of reports or matrices. Another type of matrix that we haven't looked at yet is a hierarchy matrix. A hierarchy matrix lets me traverse all the way down an object or multiple objects. If I look at KPIs under capabilities, we're looking at all of the KPIs underneath the capabilities that are on the current diagram. You'll see the KPIs listed and attributes that we have selected. The hierarchy matrix is not limited to this simplistic view. It can traverse as many layers as necessary, pulling in an unlimited number of objects and associated attributes. This is a great reporting tool for doing any kind of requirements management. This brings us to the end of our demonstration of ways to create relationships between objects in Envision. The three main ways we talked about today were relating objects within the spec sheet, either through a hyperlink or a linked attribute in a drop-down menu, visually on the screen through connectors or object-to-object relationships, or the most powerful reporting option, the parent-child relationship, which allows us to create an unlimited number of relationships between objects using different models, different classes, relating virtually any type of information in the repository. Reporting options include sending files to Excel, Word, PDF, publishing on the web, or using the internal Envision matrices that we've discussed today. There's other numerous reporting options within Envision and different ways. What type of relationship should you use? What works best for you and your organization? That depends on the user experience you want to create and the type of reports or output that you want. Contact your Envision representative today and we will help you determine the best type of relationship to build within your Envision repository.